There are growing fears that the conflict in Syria will trigger an exodus of refugees across the country's borders. The head of the UN Human Rights Agency says Syria is now in a state of civil war. Syrians who've already fled the violence say they fear for the safety of relatives they've left behind. The ABC's Michael Vincent has spoken to some of them on the Syrian-Jordanian border.
Syria is imploding. This video, purportedly shot in a town near the Turkish border, shows yet another civilian casualty. The UN is putting the number of dead at 4,000.
I said this in August before the Security Council, that there's going to be a civil war. And at the moment, that's how I am characterising this.
The Free Syrian Army has now cut a deal with the main opposition group to protect civilians and not carry out attacks. But many Syrians can't stand it any longer.
I'm 65 years old. I never expected to be a refugee.
This grandmother and her family fear for their safety, so we've agreed to hide their identities. They fled to Jordan because of the horrors they've endured.
A man wanted to buy bread. They told him no, shut your mouth and go. He didn't go, and so they shot this 63-year-old man. I saw this with my own eyes.
Now in a Jordanian safe house, in Syria they say they had no running water, no electricity, and they used a wood fire for cooking. Noor says the fighting near her home in Homs was constant. She fears for her family who remain.
Their situation is very precarious. The tanks are constantly on the streets, hitting people if anyone goes out.
Her son is glad his wife and children have escaped.
The Syrian people received Iraqis, Lebanese, Palestinians. I never expected the Syrian people to be refugees under the Assad regime.
The Jordanian government is now preparing camps for a massive influx of refugees. If the violence gets much worse in Syria, tens of thousands may come here seeking safe haven. Michael Vincent on the Jordanian-Syrian border for ABC News.